In the beginning, when the heavens were young and the earth was still forming beneath the hand of the Creator, there was darkness and silence, a void stretching endlessly in every direction. Then, by the breath of God, light pierced the emptiness, and the first whispers of creation stirred. Mountains rose from the shapeless ground, rivers gathered from unseen springs, oceans stretched like mirrors of the sky, and the air began to pulse with the first currents of wind. Every stone, every grain of sand, every drop of water carried within it the intent of the divine, the promise of life yet to come. In the midst of this newborn world, God planted a garden, a sanctuary unlike any other, a place apart from chaos, where all of creation could rest and flourish. This garden was Eden, a paradise radiant with life and harmony, where the earth itself seemed to breathe with a golden light, and the rivers sang a song only the soul could hear. The trees of Eden towered, some so tall that their crowns pierced the sky, their leaves shimmering with colors beyond human words. Fruits hung from their branches like captured sunlight, ripe with sweetness, nourishing both body and spirit. Flowers of every hue blanketed the ground, releasing fragrances that spoke of the very breath of God. Birds with feathers of crimson, gold, and sapphire filled the air with songs that danced across the rivers, and animals of every kind, majestic, humble, fierce, gentle, moved freely, unafraid, as if knowing the sanctuary belonged to none and all at once. At the center of this sacred garden, two trees rose with significance beyond all others. One, the tree of life, radiant and magnificent, bore fruit that glowed with eternal vitality, promising the gift of everlasting communion with the Creator. The other, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, shone with a beauty that was dangerous, its fruit gleaming with a forbidden allure, a boundary set by God Himself, a test of obedience, trust, and discernment. The air of Eden was alive with the harmony of life, the perfect blending of creation, a world untouched by fear, pain, or death, a place where heaven met earth and God walked with humanity in intimate communion.
Into this garden, God formed the first man. From the dust of the ground, He shaped his body, every curve and muscle crafted with intention and care, every feature designed to reflect divine beauty. Then, bending close, God breathed into him the breath of life, and Adam stirred, the first living soul, conscious, aware, and unblemished. His eyes opened to the golden light of Eden, to the rivers glinting like molten crystal, to the trees heavy with fruit, and to the animals moving in gentle harmony. His heart leapt with wonder, for he felt life itself, uncorrupted, infinite, and sacred. God placed him in the garden, tasking him to tend it, name the animals, care for the rivers, and protect the sanctity of Eden. Yet, despite the perfection around him, Adam felt a hollow within his heart, a longing for companionship, for another who could share in this divine communion, for someone whose soul would mirror his own.
Seeing this, God caused Adam to fall into a deep sleep. From his side, he drew forth a rib and fashioned the first woman. When Adam awoke and beheld her, his heart overflowed with awe and recognition, for she was bone of his bones, flesh of his flesh, a companion, a partner, a helpmeet. "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh," he whispered, voice trembling with wonder. "She shall be called woman, for she was taken out of man." Eve's eyes mirrored Adam's amazement, and together they moved through the rivers, the forests, and the golden meadows, walking hand in hand, naked yet unashamed, for shame had no place in their innocence. Animals approached without fear. The trees seemed to bow to their presence, and the garden itself seemed to rejoice at the unity of the first humans. Every step they took, every sound they made, resonated with the harmony of creation. They marveled at the sunlight breaking through leaves, at the intricate patterns of flowers carpeting the earth, at the rivers reflecting clouds and sky, at the gentle rustling of animals in the underbrush. Their hearts were filled with joy, their minds curious, and their spirits attuned to the divine rhythm of the world around them.
God blessed them and gave them freedom to enjoy every tree, every river, every gift of Eden. But he spoke a command, a single line that carried infinite weight. "Of every tree you may freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat. For in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die." This command was not a limitation, but an invitation to trust, a boundary drawn in love, a chance to choose obedience and live in communion with the Creator. Eden was their home, their paradise, but true freedom required humility and reverence, the wisdom to honor divine instruction even amidst limitless abundance. Yet in the garden there was one who sought to undermine this harmony. A serpent, subtle and cunning, slithered among the shadows, its eyes glinting with a malice that contrasted the serenity of the world. It approached Eve with words smooth as silk, planting doubt where there had been certainty. "Did God really say you cannot eat from any tree?" it asked, its voice weaving through the air like smoke. Eve responded, "We may eat from every tree, but of the one in the midst, God has said we shall not eat nor touch it, lest we die." The serpent whispered, "You will not surely die, for God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like Him, knowing good and evil." Eve gazed upon the fruit, shimmering, radiant, captivating. Desire stirred in her heart. Curiosity danced at the edges of her mind, and the thought of godlike knowledge beckoned irresistibly. She reached out, plucked the fruit, and ate. The sweetness and the strange clarity filled her senses, and then she gave some to Adam, who ate as well. In that moment, the innocence of humanity shattered. The harmony of Eden trembled. Shame entered. Guilt rooted itself in their hearts. Fear crept in for the first time, and they realized their nakedness. Hastily, they sewed fig leaves together, covering themselves, yet the awareness of their sin burned within them.
As the cool of the evening fell, the voice of God echoed through the garden. Adam, where are you?" Adam's heart thudded, and he hid among the trees. "I heard your voice, and I was afraid, for I am naked, so I hid," he replied, his voice trembling. God asked, "Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree I commanded you not to eat?" Adam said, "The woman you gave me, she gave me the fruit, and I ate." And Eve said, "The serpent deceived me, and I ate." And thus blame entered the world, the first fracture in trust and love, a shadow falling over the unity between man and woman, and between humanity and God. God spoke his judgment to the serpent. "Cursed are you above all creatures. You shall crawl on your belly, eat dust all the days of your life. Enmity shall exist between you and the woman, between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel." To Eve, "I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your conception. In pain you shall bring forth children. Your desire shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you." To Adam, "Because you listened to your wife and ate from the tree, cursed is the ground for your sake. In toil you shall eat of it all the days of your life. Thorns and thistles shall grow, and by the sweat of your brow shall you eat bread, until you return to the ground. For dust you are, and to dust you shall return." And so the world itself was altered. Death entered creation, and the labor of life began in earnest. Yet even in judgment, God showed mercy. He clothed Adam and Eve with garments of skin, a shadow of sacrifice, and an emblem of care. But Eden could no longer be their home. He drove them from the garden, placing cherubim with flaming swords that turned in every direction to guard the path to the tree of life. Adam and Eve walked eastward into a world harsher and unfamiliar, a land where labor, pain, and mortality awaited. The paradise they knew became a memory, a story whispered through the rivers, the trees, and the wind. Yet even in exile, hope remained, for the promise of redemption lingered. The seed of the woman would one day crush the serpent's head. Eden's story echoes through time as a warning and a promise. Humanity carries the memory of innocence lost, the weight of choices made, the longing for restoration, and the understanding of the price of disobedience. The rivers of Eden, the fruits of its trees, the sunlight that once touched its meadows, and the harmony of its creatures remain in memory, in reflection, in the pulse of life itself, reminding mankind of the paradise that was, the fall that came, and the hope that yet endures. Adam and Eve, walking hand in hand into a world of toil, felt grief, love, and awe all at once, their hearts heavy with loss, yet illuminated with the divine promise that one day, through obedience, faith, and the unfolding of time, the perfection of Eden would touch the earth once more. And so the story of Eden became the eternal tale of creation, temptation, sin, and hope. A narrative as old as humanity itself. A reminder that even in the fall, divine love, mercy, and purpose persist, guiding the human soul toward restoration, toward light, and toward the promise of paradise regained.